Have you ever looked up at a clear sky and wondered, why is the sky blue? I mean, of all the colors, why not green, pink, or even purple? You see, there's a fascinating science behind why the sky is blue, and it involves light, tiny particles, and some physics happening right above our heads every single day. Today, let's uncover the science behind one of nature's biggest mysteries. To understand why the sky is blue, we first need to talk about light itself. The sunlight we see might look white, but it's actually a mix of all the colors of the rainbow. Imagine a beam of light as a team of tiny, invisible waves. Each color has its own unique wavelength. Now, blue and violet light have shorter, high-energy wavelengths, while red and orange have longer, lower-energy wavelengths. Think of it this way: blue and violet waves are like tiny, quick-moving ripples on a lake, while red waves are like large, slow-moving ocean waves. When all these colors travel together, they create what we perceive as white light. An interesting fact is that in space, where there's no atmosphere, light travels without scattering, which is why outer space looks black. So, our atmosphere is like a giant canvas that allows us to see light in different ways, including giving us our blue sky. So, what happens when sunlight hits Earth's atmosphere? Our atmosphere is full of molecules of nitrogen, oxygen, and other tiny particles. And here's where Rayleigh scattering comes into play. Rayleigh scattering is a scientific term for what happens when light waves hit particles much smaller than their wavelength. This effect causes shorter, high-energy wavelengths, like blue and violet, to scatter in all directions. So, the atmosphere essentially takes the blue and violet light from sunlight and spreads it out everywhere, making it appear that the sky itself is glowing blue. But if both blue and violet light scatter, why don't we see a purple sky? This is where our eyes come into play. Our eyes are more sensitive to blue light than to violet light. They're fine-tuned to see blue more vividly, while violet tends to fade into the background. There's another reason, too. Some of the violet light gets absorbed in the upper layers of the atmosphere by ozone, which reduces how much violet actually reaches us. So, the blue light shines through more strongly, and we end up with a blue sky. But, you've probably noticed that the sky doesn't stay the same shade of blue all day. At sunrise and sunset, the sky often turns shades of red, orange, or even pink. Why does this happen? When the sun is low on the horizon, the sunlight has to pass through a thicker layer of atmosphere to reach us. The short blue and violet wavelengths scatter out completely, leaving the longer red and orange wavelengths to fill the sky. This filtering effect creates those beautiful, fiery colors that make sunsets and sunrises so stunning. Here's a fun fact: not all planets have the same sky colors. For example, on Mars, the thin atmosphere scatters light differently, creating bluish sunsets and a pinkish daytime sky. So, if you're on Mars, you'd see the opposite of what we see on Earth. You might wonder, if blue scatters and red can appear at sunset, why don't we ever see a green sky? This is an interesting question, because green sits right between blue and yellow on the color spectrum. Technically, green light could scatter, but it doesn't stand out as much in our atmosphere. This happens because of how our eyes perceive color. Our eyes contain cells that are sensitive to certain colors more than others, like blue and red. Blue light scatters in a way that aligns perfectly with our vision, making it appear the most prominent. Green light, however, tends to blend with other colors due to the way our atmosphere scatters it, so we rarely notice it as a distinct color in the sky. Have you ever noticed how the sky looks different on rainy or snowy days? When clouds fill the sky, they scatter light in all directions, diffusing the colors and making the sky appear gray. This is because the water droplets in clouds are much larger than the air molecules responsible for Rayleigh scattering. So, instead of a blue sky, we get a more muted, grayish appearance. And during snowfall, the sky can even look white or have a slight yellow tint due to the way snow reflects and scatters light differently. Isn't it fascinating how the sky can change just with a bit of water or snow? One more interesting thing to consider is how light pollution affects what we see in the sky, especially in cities. Artificial lights scatter through the atmosphere, creating a light dome that makes the sky appear duller and blocks out stars. In areas with high light pollution, we lose much of the natural vibrancy of the night sky, and even during the day, the brightness can affect the clarity of our blue sky. That's why, if you've ever been somewhere remote, the sky might look much more vibrant and star-filled than in a city. Rayleigh scattering doesn't just make the sky blue, it has important scientific implications, too. For example, scientists use this principle to understand the atmospheres of other planets by observing how light behaves as it passes through their atmospheres. This helps researchers study planets' composition and even search for potential signs of life. So, to sum it up, the sky appears blue because shorter wavelengths, like blue light, scatter more in the atmosphere than longer wavelengths like red. And at sunrise and sunset, the longer red and orange wavelengths dominate because of how far the light has to travel. The next time you look up, you'll know there's some fascinating science happening in the sky every day. If you enjoyed learning about this, hit that subscribe button for more quick science explainers. And let us know in the comments, what other mysteries of the natural world are you curious about?